Hi, everybody. Today, this week, we're going to be looking at pathos. So, pathos is an appeal to emotion, um, or convincing someone, your audience member, through an emotional response. So you'd use the phrase an appeal to pathos when you would identify however the speaker is trying to sway the audience's emotion. A lot of the times diction comes into play with pathos because diction is one that you can easily manipulate to sway emotion. Think of the example right here. According to the World Wildlife Federation or Foundation, 2/3 of big cats will be murdered by 2020. And I think, oh no, I have a cat in my house. I don't want it to be murdered. That's bad, right? Um, but if you think about this, the next sentence, according to the World Wildlife Foundation, 2/3 of ferocious felines will be eliminated. It's saying the same thing, but all of a sudden, this adjective big was replaced with ferocious, right? That means kind of vicious, nasty, violent. Feline is another word for cat, okay? And be eliminated is the same thing as gone. So this thinks, okay, I want violent felines to be gone. That's good, right? And so the diction sways my emotion, how I feel about these two sentences, because the diction changed, right? So a lot of the times, pathos is always connected with audience within the rhetorical triangle. So pathos and audience members are most easily swayed by emotion. Um, if you feel very angry or upset about something, you're more likely to protest or boycott or not want to become involved. If you feel that something is unsafe, you might feel compelled to do something about your safety or to keep your family safe. So, pathos and the emotion is a very important player, especially if you're really trying to get your audience to do something. They're most obviously swayed by emotion. Think about the other ways you can sway audience, right? There's an impassioned plea, a story, a vignette, there's imagery, an analogy, or figurative comparisons. And then the moves, the structures are important right here. So parallel structure, that's the use of the same grammatical format to kind of balance ideas. Here's an example. We'll see some below. Also asking rhetorical questions, right? Asking a question that either you don't want the audience to answer, one that you think the audience already knows, and so it's implied and they're already agreeing with you. Or you can even ask a question to let the audience linger upon, to kind of think and take into, the next day, and to really kind of ponder or think about their experience. And also, like I was saying, diction. That word choice really does sway an audience. All right. So in this text, and you guys will look at this a little later, but in this text, this is an op-ed from I think I deleted it, from the Miami Herald. Um, Op-ed stands for opinion editorial, meaning Leonard Pitts, the author, writes for the Miami Herald. This is his opinion. He wrote an editorial like a column or an article, but it's about his opinion. And so what he's trying to do is convince the readers of the Miami Herald to think like him. He's trying to sway the audience. And so let's take a look at some of the structures, what he does. And so I'm analyzing and annotating. I'm just looking at pathos, and I'm doing a little bit of logos kind of as a remembrance from last week. So he starts off, I hope this column makes you sick. This hook is a little different. He kind of starts with a plea or a hope that this column makes you sick, right? It both intrigues me and it sparks my curiosity, right? Why does he want to make me sick of my behavior, of society's behavior? And then take a look at some of the diction he uses. The diction is highlighted in pink. I'll let you guys read it on your own, but he's saying that a man, named Joseph emailed him, and this man vexed over healthcare reform, right? So he's saying it's a problem. He's frustrated. He's worried about healthcare. And he compared President Obama to Hitler. And why, he asked, Hitler took over the car companies, then healthcare, and then he killed the Jews. So this comparison could be logos, but what it's being done by comparing to Hitler, it maybe shows that either we agree, are either hateful of this comparison, or we're strongly in agreement, depending on political party. And he's saying, I almost swerved off my vehicle, indicating he lost control. This caller is hardly unique. If you Google Obama and Nazis, you get 7 million hits. It's not a new phenomenon. President Bush and Nazi, and you get 2.8 million. So it's saying maybe it's a social precedent. Historically, people relate presidents to Nazis many times, millions of times. And this is not a new thing. Granting that these hits are benign, right? It's not deadly, it's not harmful, it's maybe even soft. It seems that Nazis have invaded American political rhetoric in a big way, right? So identifying that this idea of Nazis have come into especially American rhetoric, meaning the way we speak about the bad guy. We often refer to things as Nazis, especially Americans. So Leonard Pitts, he is an American. He's writing for the Miami Herald, but he's being awfully critical about how Americans are now approaching political rhetoric, how we sway others. And I see that even now, calling someone a grammar Nazi or calling someone just a Nazi comes across our tongues here and there, right? And Rush Limbaugh, he's pointing out, declared healthcare a Hitler-like policy. And there were swastikas and posters with Hitler's mustache and a pamphlet that says, "Act now to stop Obama's Nazi health plan." So that's kind of just reiterating some of those facts that this is a major problem, right? That these facts that has happened historically is now becoming a little bit of a problem and seeping into American rhetoric. All right. And so it's important to remember that the Nazis are passing out of living memory, meaning they're, dying. So U.S. soldiers of that era are said to be dying at a rate of 1,200 a day. That's a statistic. And I think for a nation of notorious historical illiteracy, this is a critique of how Americans have not learned from the past. That we Americans remake the Nazis as some kind of all-purpose boogeyman, right? Some bad guy for slandering political enemies. Whenever you don't agree with someone's point, you just say, "Yeah, you're a Nazi." And so slander is to put them in a bad or negative light. And why do we do that? To score cheap rhetorical points, to earn it's like to earn some kind of credit or, credibility. But really all we're doing is just slapping a name. Really what he's arguing, that it's Nazis sound bad and make their point without doing the research, that really we're just lazy name callers. And that's my point. Oops, LLERS. Right? And so he's saying that's maybe not so great. So I thought it would be good to make you sick, or to spend a few minutes reminding you and teaching you that when you evoke, or what you evoke when you evoke the Nazi regime. So he's saying, I want it, gently. He's using some gentler diction now. But when you use that word Nazi, what are you really doing? And this is what he's about to lay out. So continue to the next video.